There comes a time, oh yes, when a woman must gather the wind in her skirts and turn toward the horizon. Not in defeat, not in fear, but with the quiet thunder of knowing. She understands that some doors must close, not because she is weak, but because she is wise. A wise woman knows when to walk away. She feels it in her bones, the moment when staying costs more than leaving. When the weight of what was drowns out the whisper of what could be. She doesn't cling to the wreckage of love that has grown cold, to friendships that bite like thorns, to dreams that have long since turned to dust in her hands. She opens her palms and lets go. And oh, how the world will try to shame her for it. They will call her heartless or reckless or worse, a quitter. But she knows the truth. Walking away is not surrender. It is salvation. It is saying, this far, no further. It is choosing her soul over the sinking ship. For every woman who has ever stood at the crossroads trembling but resolved, this is for you. You are not walking away. You are walking toward the life you deserve. And darling, that is not just wisdom, that is power. There is a moment, oh, you know it, when the air shifts, when the heart whispers what the mind has been too afraid to say. It is the moment when staying feels like a slow unraveling, like holding onto a rope that's fraying at both ends. And in that moment, a choice must be made. Do you cling until your hands bleed? Or do you loosen your grip, step back, and walk away? Some will call it quitting. Some will say you gave up too soon. But you know better. You understand that walking away is not weakness. It is not weakness. No. It is wisdom in motion. Think of the woman who stays in a love that no longer honors her, who swallows her words like bitter medicine because she fears the silence that will follow if she speaks. Think of the woman who bends until her spine aches, who smiles through the hurt because she has been told that suffering is noble. Now think of the woman who finally straightens her back, who looks at the broken pieces around her and says, no more. That woman is not running, she is rising. Letting go is an act of revolution. It is the quiet rebellion against everything that told you to shrink, to settle, to endure what no longer serves you. It takes more courage to walk away than to stay trapped in a cage of familiarity.
Because staying, that's easy, that's comfortable.
That's what the world expects of you, but leaving, that's the moment you choose yourself over the weight of expectation. And oh, how the weight will try to drag you back. Memories will whisper, remember when it was good. Fear will hiss, what if nothing better? But you must remember this. A bird does not refuse to fly because the cage is familiar. A river does not stop flowing because the rocks are in its way. You were not made to stand still in the wreckage of what once was. There is a sacred kind of strength in release. It is the strength of the woman who walks away from a love that drains her, knowing that loneliness is better than being loved half-heartedly. It is the strength of the mother who leaves the table where her voice is ignored, teaching her children that respect is not begged for. It is the strength of the dreamer who abandons a path that no longer fits, even when the world calls her foolish. Because here is the truth they don't tell you. Letting go is not the end. Every time you walk away from what dims your light, you make space for what will set you ablaze. Every time you release what was never yours to carry, your hands become free to hold something greater. So when the moment comes, and it will come, when your soul whispers, go. Do not let fear silence it. Do not let guilt chain you to what no longer deserves you. Walk away not with regret, but with the unshakable knowing that you are not losing. You are choosing. You are growing. You are stepping into the woman you were always meant to be. And that, my dear, is not defeat, that is wisdom. And there comes a time in every woman's life when she must ask herself, how much of myself will I lose before I say enough? How many sleepless nights, how many swallowed words, how many pieces of my soul must I hand over before I realize some battles aren't worth fighting? Some wars were never meant to be won. A wise woman knows this. She understands that not every fire is hers to put out. Not every argument deserves her voice. Not every person deserves her patience. So she does something revolutionary. She chooses herself. She looks at the struggle, the chaos, the endless back and forth, and she says, no more. Not because she can't fight, but because she refuses to let the fight diminish her. Think about it. How many times have you bent over backward trying to prove your worth to someone who refused to see it? How many hours have you wasted explaining your heart to people who only wanted to debate it? How many tears have you shed over battles that left you emptier, even if you won? A wise woman learns the hard way, maybe, that some victories cost too much. That sometimes the real win isn't in having the last word, but in walking away with your dignity intact. Because here's the truth, you teach people how to treat you by what you tell. Every time you stay in a fight that drains you, every time you beg for basic respect, every time you justify your worth to someone who refuses to acknowledge it, you're handing them permission to keep doing it. But when you walk away, when you refuse to engage, when you look at the drama, the disrespect, the mind games, and you simply step back, that's when you reclaim your power. That's when you declare without a single word, I am worth more than this. And let's be clear, this isn't about pride. This isn't about ego. This is about survival. Because a woman who spends her life fighting unnecessary battles is a woman who will wake up one day and realize she's exhausted, that she's poured so much of herself into proving, convincing, and defending that she's forgotten who she was before the war began. But a woman who chooses peace, a woman who refuses to let anyone drag her into their chaos, that woman keeps her spirit intact. That woman protects her energy like the sacred force it is. You were not put on this earth to be anyone's punching bag. You were not created to argue your value into existence. You do not have to wrestle with people who are determined to misunderstand you. Let them think what they want. Let them twist the story. Let them believe they've won. Because while they're busy fighting ghosts, you'll be busy living. Grow. Thriving in the quiet confidence of knowing that your worth was never up for debate. So the next time you feel yourself being pulled into a battle that doesn't serve you, pause, jury, frisk yourself. Is this worth my energy? Is this worth my peace? And if the answer is no, then darling, walk. Not in defeat, but in defiance. Not because you're weak, but because you're wise enough to know that some things are beneath you. A wise woman doesn't fight every fight. She saves her strength for what truly matters. And in the end, that's how she wins. Not by conquering others, but by refusing to let them conquer her. There is a power in silence that shakes the earth more than any scream ever could. There is a strength in stillness that breaks chains more effectively than any struggle. And there is a message so clear, so undeniable, in walking away without explanation, without defense, without justification, without a single backward glance, that it echoes louder than 1,000 arguments. A wise woman knows this. She understands that not every situation deserves her words. Not every person deserves her story. Not every moment requires her voice. Some battles are won not by fighting, but by refusing to engage at all. Some victories come not from having the last word, but from letting your absence speak. Think about it. How many times have you exhausted yourself trying to make someone understand? How many nights have you spent rehearsing conversations in your mind, crafting the perfect explanation, the flawless defense, only to realize they weren't listening at all? How many times have you poured your heart out to someone who took your words, twisted them, and used them as weapons against you? A wise woman learns sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is say nothing at all. Sometimes the most revolutionary act is to turn your back and walk away in silence. Because silence is not weakness. Silence is not surrender. Silence is the unshakable stance of a woman who knows her worth does not require validation. It is the quiet rebellion of a soul that refuses to beg for his. It is the dignified exit of someone who understands that if they couldn't see your value while you were there, they certainly won't see it when you're gone, and that's their loss, not yours. You don't owe anyone an explanation for choosing. You don't owe anyone a reason for protecting your heart. You don't have to justify your absence to people who never truly appreciated your presence. Let them wonder, let them question, let them sit in the silence of what they've lost. Your walking away is not a mystery to be solved, it's a lesson to be felt. And oh, how it will eat at them, the silence, the absence, the space where you used to be. Because people can argue with your words, they can twist your reasons, they can dismiss your feelings. But they cannot fight what you do not give them. They cannot debate what you do not say. Your silence becomes the mirror that forces them to face what they've done. And that is power. A wise woman knows that not every goodbye needs drama. Not every ending needs closure. Sometimes the most healing thing you can do is release what no longer serves you without fanfare, without spectacle, without a single word. Just you, your dignity, and the unspoken truth hanging in the air. I am worth more than that. So the next time you feel the urge to explain, to defend, to make them understand, stop, breathe. So ask yourself, will my words change anything, or will they only drain me? And if the answer is the latter, then close your mouth. Let your silence be the period at the end of the sentence. Let your absence be the only answer they receive. Because sometimes the loudest statement a woman can make is saying nothing at all. And that silence, it will ring in their ears. There comes a moment when a woman realizes her peace is not negotiable. It is not something to be bargained away for love or approval, for the comfort of others. It is the very foundation of her existence, the quiet space within her where joy lives, where strength is born, where her soul remembers its worth. And when she understands this, truly understands it, she becomes unstoppable, because she learns to guard her peace like the sacred treasure it is. A wise woman knows this. She knows that peace is not the absence of trouble, but the presence of something greater, the unshakable decision to protect what matters most. She refuses to let anyone drag her to their chaos. She will not be pulled into arguments that drain her. She will not entertain negativity that dims her light. She draws boundaries not because she is cold, because she understands her heart is holy ground. And not everyone deserves access to it. Think about how often we give pieces of ourselves. We stay in relationships that leave us exhausted. We tolerate behavior that wounds us. We say yes when our souls are screaming no, all because we're afraid of disappointing others. But a woman who protects her peace, she says no without apology. She walks away from what harms her spirit. She understands that self-preservation is not selfish. It is survival. It is the act of honoring the divine within herself. Because he is the truth, you cannot pour from an empty cup. You cannot give what you do not have. When you sacrifice your peace for people who don't value it, you are not being kind. You are being cruel to yourself. And the world needs you whole, not broken. It needs your light, not your exhaustion. It needs your joy, not your resentment. Protecting your peace isn't just about you. It's about the people who truly deserve the best version of you. Imagine a life where you no longer beg for basic respect, where you no longer twist yourself into knots trying to please those who will never be satisfied, where you no longer allow toxic situations to live rent-free in your mind. That life is possible. It begins the moment you decide enough. No more drama, no more energy vampires. No more sacrificing your serenity on the altar of other people's expectations. Protecting your peace means walking away from conversations that poison your spirit. It means deleting messages without reading them when you know they'll only bring pain. It means hanging up the phone when the yelling starts. It means refusing to engage with those who thrive on conflict. It means guarding your heart like the precious gift it is. This doesn't make you weak, it makes you warrior. It takes incredible strength to say, I deserve better. It takes courage to create boundaries where there were none. It takes power to look at what or who steals your joy and remove yourself from the equation. So today, ask yourself, what or who is costing me my peace? If the answer is no, then know this. You have permission to walk away. You have permission to protect what's yours. You have permission to choose yourself. The world will try to convince you otherwise. It will call you selfish. It will accuse you of being difficult. Let them. While they're talking, you'll be living fully, freely, unapologetically. Because a woman at peace is a force of nature. And when she decides enough is enough, the earth itself shifts to make room for her joy. Your peace is worth fighting. Even if the only person you have to fight is the version of yourself that still believes she doesn't deserve it. So guard it fiercely. Protect it relentlessly. Beautiful, messy, glorious existence. It's too short to spend at war with yourself. Choose peace. Choose joy. Choose you every single time. There is a special kind of courage that lives in the heart of a woman who walks away. It's not the flashy, dramatic bravery of battlefields and grand gestures. No, this courage is quieter, deeper, more intimate. It's the courage to look at something you've held onto for years, a relationship, a dream, a version of yourself, and finally whisper, this isn't for me anymore. That moment, that decision changes everything, because leaving what no longer serves you isn't giving up. It's choosing your soul over your history. A wise woman knows this truth in her bones. Not everything that feels familiar is meant to stay. Some loves are only meant to teach, not to last. Some friendships are seasons, not lifetimes. Some dreams were never yours to carry. They were hand-me-down hopes from someone else's expectations, and releasing them, that isn't failure. That's freedom knocking at the door of your heart, waiting for you to be brave enough to answer. Think about what you're holding on to right now that's grown heavy in your hands. That job that pays the bills but drains your spirit. That relationship that used to feel like home but now feels like a cage. That version of yourself you outgrew years ago, but keep pretending to be because it's what people expect. Now imagine just for a moment the weight lifting, the space opening, the air rushing back into your lungs. That's what courage feels like. That's what happens when you finally let go. But here's what they don't tell you about courage. It doesn't always roar. Sometimes it whimpers. Sometimes it shows up as the quiet tears you shed in the shower after you've made the decision. Sometimes it's the shaky hands that sign the divorce papers, the trembling voice that says, we need to talk, the weak knees that carry you out the door anyway. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's the determination to walk through it. And oh, how fear will try to stop you. It will whisper all the worst case scenarios in your ear. What if you're making a mistake? What if nothing better comes along? What if you regret this? But here's what fear won't tell you. What if you don't? What if leaving this behind makes room for something miraculous? What if the other side of this decision holds a joy you can't even imagine yet? That's the gamble of courage. That's the risk worth taking. Because here's the secret. What's meant for you won't pass you by. But you'll never discover it if your hands are too full holding on to what's not. Releasing what no longer fits isn't losing. It's making space. It's saying yes to the universe's whispered question. Do you trust me enough to let go? So how do you find this courage? You start small. You practice releasing like it's a muscle that needs strength. You let go of the dress that doesn't fit anymore. The friendship that's become toxic, the dream that was never yours to begin with. With each release, your courage grows. With each goodbye, your faith deepens. Until one day you realize the woman who was once afraid to let go has become the woman brave enough to walk away. They'll call you reckless. They'll say you're throwing everything away. Let them talk. While they're clinging to sinking ships, you'll be learning how to swim. While they're stuck in what was, you'll be discovering what could be. And one day, maybe not tomorrow, maybe not next year, but one day, you'll look back at this moment of courage and whisper, "Thank God I was brave enough to leave." Because that's the thing about bravery, it's contagious. Every time a woman chooses herself, she gives permission for another to do the same. Your courage becomes someone else's hope. Your release becomes someone else's roadmap. So take a deep breath, darling. That thing you know you need to let go of, the universe is waiting. Your future is waiting. All it takes is one moment of bravery, one decision to release what's been holding you back, and everything can change. The question isn't, can you do this? You can. The question is, will you? And something tells me you're braver than you know. There is a moment that comes for every woman when the path ahead disappears. When the map she's been following suddenly ends as empty space. No guarantees, no promise, just the whisper of her own heartbeat and a choice. Turn back to what's familiar or step forward into the unknown. A wise woman chooses to step forward, not because she isn't afraid. Oh, she feels that fear like electricity in her veins, but because she's learned something sacred about life. The most beautiful destinations often lie beyond the edge. The greatest love, the deepest purpose, the truest version of herself, these things wait in the territory marked only by faith. And so she goes, not blindly, but bravely, not recklessly, but with the quiet certainty that even when she can't see the way will appear. Think about your own life. Those times you stood at the cliff's edge of change, leaving the relationship that was comfortable but no longer growing, quitting the job that paid well but starved you, moving to the city where you knew no one, starting over when starting over felt impossible. Remember how terrifying it was? And then remember how the pieces fell into place, how doors opened you didn't even know existed, how the universe caught you every single time you left. That wasn't love. That was life responding to your courage. That was God, the universe, destiny, whatever you call it, whispering back. Finally, you're ready. The unknown isn't empty. It's full of possibilities too bright for you to see from where you currently stand. But you'll never discover them if you keep waiting for guarantees. Love might not come when you want it, but it comes when it's right. The money might not appear how you imagined, but it arrives how it should. The healing might take longer than you hoped, but it leaves you stronger than you dreamed. This is the mystery and the magic of trust. It requires you to surrender the how while holding tight to the Ave. So how do you find this kind of faith? You practice it like a prayer. You wake each morning and say, I don't know how this will work out, but I believe it will. You look at your bank account and whisper, I don't see the solution yet, but it's coming. You stare at your lonely reflection in the mirror and promise, this isn't the end of my story. And then this is the important part, you act as if it's already true. You apply for the job even when you're not perfectly qualified. You go on the date even though your heart's still tender. You book the ticket even if you're traveling alone. Because faith isn't passive, it's a muscle that strengthens every time you use it. They'll call you foolish. They'll say you're being naive. Let them. The same people who warn you about risks are often the ones who never dared to live. While they're busy predicting your failure, you'll be too occupied discovering miracles to notice it. And when they ask, as they always do, how did you know it would work out? You'll smile and tell the truth. I didn't. I just knew I had to try. Because here's the secret that doubters don't understand. Trusting the unknown isn't about ignoring fear. It's about feeling that fear, the shaking hands, the racing heart, the voice that screams, turn back, and stepping forward anyway. It's knowing that every woman who ever changed her life stood exactly where you're standing now. At the edge of everything familiar, about to discover something extraordinary. So take that step. Make that call, write that letter, end what needs ending, begin what needs beginning. The universe rewards boldness. God honors faith, and life always makes room for those brave enough to believe in what they can't yet see. Your future isn't hiding from you, darling. It's waiting for you to trust it enough to arrive. There is a sacred alchemy that happens when a woman walks away from what no longer serves her. She doesn't just leave something behind. She steps into the woman she was always meant to become. Every ending carries a secret doorway. Every goodbye plants the seed of a new hello. Every time you think you're closing a chapter, life is secretly preparing to hand you a whole new book. A wise woman knows this truth in her bones. There is no such thing as an ending, only transformation, that job you lost. It wasn't the death of your career, it was the birth of your purpose. That relationship that ended, it wasn't the destruction of love, it was the making of your self-respect. That dream that fell apart, it wasn't failure. It was fertilizer for something greater. What looks like ashes to everyone else is just the fertile ground of your becoming. Think about the most painful endings in your life, the moments that felt like they might break you. Now look closer. See how each one carved space for something new? How the heartbreak taught you boundaries, how the rejection redirected you to something better, how the loss revealed strengths you didn't know you had. This is the miracle of rising. We don't just recover from our falls, we regenerate. Like forests after wildfires, like stars collapsing into supernovas, we are designed to recreate ourselves from whatever remains. But here's what no one tells you about new beginnings. They rarely look how we expect. That a fresh starter might come wearing the face of another struggle. That a bright future might arrive disguised as a challenge. That a dream come true might require more of you than you ever imagined giving. This is why so many people miss their miracles. They're waiting for a perfect beginning when life keeps offering them imperfect opportunities. A wise woman doesn't wait for perfect. She takes the messy, complicated, terrifying chance and turns it into gold with her own two hands. So how do you rise? You grieve what needs grieving, then you wipe your tears and get curious. You ask, what is this space inside me now trying to become? You listen for the new voice emerging from the quiet. You notice what makes your soul stir. You follow that flicker of interest, that smaller what if, that crazy idea that won't leave you alone. You begin again, not from scratch, but from experience. Not as the woman you were, but as the woman the journey has shaped you into. They'll try to measure your progress against a timeline. They'll whisper about how long it's taking you to get over it. Let them. While they're busy watching the clock, you'll be too occupied becoming to notice, because rising isn't a race, it's a rhythm. Some days you'll take leaps, other days tiny steps. Some days you'll just sit still and let the healing happen. All of it counts. All of it is part of the dance. And when you finally stand on the other side of what once shattered you, when you look back at the wreckage and realize it was just the universe clearing space, you'll understand the most beautiful truth. The strongest women aren't those who never fall. They're the ones who've learned the secret alchemy of turning pain into power, scars into wisdom, endings into fuel. They're the ones who discovered that rock bottom makes the finest foundation. So keep going, darling. That ending you face, it's just love and work clothes preparing you for what's coming. That ache in your chest, it's not a wound, it's the stretching of new wings. That door that closed behind you, look closer. Your future is already turning the knob on the other side, because this isn't the end of your story.